Well, here's the story. I was in New York. I worked and lived in New York for a couple of years in the 1980s, before I was here. And while I was there, a great exhibition came to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Now, you know that great exhibitions come from France, and they come from India, and they come from Mexico. Well, this one came from my lovely little country, Ireland. The exhibition was called Made by Angels. Now, translate for me into French.
Fait par les anges.
Say it loud.
Fait par les anges.
Fait par les anges. Fait par les anges. And it had the great treasures of Ireland, the great treasures. You don't know them, but they're very beautiful. They're Celtic ancient treasures. The Tara brooch, the Arda chalice. They didn't have the Book of Kells, which is the greatest treasure. And the only one thing, we have a Rosetta Stone in Ireland, a thing you must see. It's the Book of Kells, an illuminated manuscript from the 7th century, and the most beautiful thing in the whole country. It is our one great treasure, and it's in the library at Trinity College in Dublin. So when you go to Dublin, make sure to go to see this book. I'm very proud that our greatest treasure is a book. It's not a painting, it's a book. An ancient, ancient book. So, back to New York. Made by angels? Fait par les anges. Here they had these different, the Tara brooch, the Arda chalice, all these things. Now they called it Made by Angels because if you know Celtic work, it's very minute, it's very detailed, it's very precise. Gold in very little, you know, these swirls, and it could only be made by angels. You know, it looked like it wasn't made by humans. In each room, there was a black room, and in the middle of that room, hung almost in mid-air, was the Arda chalice. And in the next room, almost hung in mid-air, was the next thing, the Tara brooch. In each room, just one object, surrounded by darkness, and lit by fiber optics. So it was like amazing. And you walked all around it as if it was a 3D image, you know, as if it was some sort of a 4D image. It was hard to believe it was real, because just in a big black room, glowing in the very middle, was this thing. It was magnificent. I was very proud. We all were very proud. The Irish people in New York were very proud because everyone got to see the beautiful things we have and made in our country. So, 2 years later, I was back in Dublin, and I thought, wow, I so enjoyed seeing these magnificent things. I'd like to go and see them now again in the National Museum of Ireland in Dublin. So I went along. It's a lovely museum. It's beside the Parliament. It's an old, old museum. And so I saw the Arda chalice on a shelf with other chalices. I said, is that the thing I saw in New York? I went and saw the Tara brooch on a shelf with other brooches. Is that the brooch I saw? This doesn't look like the brooch I saw in New York. This doesn't look like the cup I saw in New York. This doesn't look like the beautiful Made by Angels thing I saw in New York. Why? Why did it not look the same? Something was different. It didn't look special anymore.
The atmosphere.
Pardon?
The atmosphere.
The atmosphere was different. Now it was back in an ordinary room. In an ordinary room with ordinary light beside other things that looked like it. It looked like a supermarket shelf now. Go and buy your Arda chalice. Go and buy your Tara brooch with other brooches, like Delphine would go into a beautiful Chanel shop and see all the things together. When she sees them on the catwalk, it's just one. Made by Angels creation, a catwalk. You know the model on the catwalk, yeah. What do you say in France?
Yeah.
Catwalk?
Catwalk.
Now, this is why I bring you to this room, because this was the first time the British Museum tried to do something like this, to create a space where you could better enjoy the precious treasures of Mexico. With the light, this is all very ordinary now, but not 20 years ago, and not in this museum. 20 years ago, this was, wow, how different it is. Look at the light. Look at the, now I can see the things in a different way, not like out there. Now we will see they have many different rooms like this, but this was the first one. I was here, and so was the President of Mexico. I was here the day this opened, and that the British Museum decided on something new, a new way to see things, a way I had seen in New York 20 years, or well, 10 years before. So there you are. This is made by angels in Mexico. Let's go.